having an absolutely dominant, purpose-built rally car, and then when it's at its peak, just dumping it in favour of racing a very much run-of-the-mill family car. That's exactly what Fiat did in 1976, when it abandoned the legendary Stratos and decided instead to race the 131. It looked like madness at the time, but they must have known something that we didn't, because this car went on to win not one, not two, but 3 World Rally Championships. Today we're going to find out how a humble family saloon came to dominate World Rally, and of course I'm going to tell you how it drives. Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer. I've had some comments in the past about the way I pronounce Italian names. Now, I know I sound completely British, but in fact, I am Italian of origin. So sometimes I choose to pronounce Italian names the Italian way. That's just the way it is. The original plan was actually to race the mid-engined X19, but Fiat's upper management didn't really see the point of going to so much effort to promote a niche car. They'd watched Ford shift countless escorts off the back of rally success and decided that that was the way to go. So almost overnight, the X19 project was shelved and they started working on the new 131 instead. I can't think of many cars that are so utterly transformed from standard. Have a look at the base car and now this wonderful monster. Only 400 131 ABARTHs were made. The 2-door shells went straight from the production line to Bertone, where they were heavily reworked. A lighter bonnet, boot lid, and wider arches were all made of fiberglass and fitted, and at the back, the structure itself was changed to allow the fitment of independent suspension. Bertone painted and trimmed them. They were then shipped back to Fiat's Rivalta factory, where ABARTH took care of the serious mechanical bits. It was part family car and part Group 4 monster. This particular car is a tribute built by my mate Gareth, who's also the genius who did the amazing paint job on my Pantera. This one actually came from South Africa, where, legend has it, the original Stradale moulds actually ended up. That's why so many 131s over there sprouted those big arches. Boy racers just couldn't resist. Gareth even managed to get hold of an original Stradale so he could copy the little details like these badges and the bonnet vents, which he made from scratch. He'd been wanting one of these cars ever since he was a boy. Another little detail worth mentioning is that this car uses the Group 4 tarmac rally stage wheels. These were actually made by Campagnolo and are the same wheels that were on one of my favourite cars of all time, the De Tomaso Mangusta. Under the bonnet sat Fiat's legendary twin cam, one of the great engines of the era. The road cars with ABARTH's 16-valve heads put out about 140 horsepower, but in rally trim, with fuel injection, they could go up to 250 horsepower. This tribute uses the 8-valve version, but with high compression pistons and twin downdraft Weber carbs, it still sings. Mechanically, the rally cars were cutting edge for their time, even ditching the live axle for an independent McPherson setup, as they had put on the X19. This was something that was particularly useful for the rally stages, where the levels of wheel articulation gave an independent setup a real advantage. This car retains the stock setup, which is more advanced than you'd think. The solid axle is tamed by unequal length trailing arms and a panhard rod. So not quite as trick as the racers, but still way better than what most other cars at the time had. And that's the genius of this 131. It took something ordinary and made it extraordinary. Let's fire it up and see what it's like on the road. First thing that hits you when you get in the car are these seats. Now, they are standard, as you would have got in the normal Stradale, but he's used slightly different material. So if it was a blue car, it would have had a blue stripe like these do, but it would have been just a normal grey cloth. He's used Vela here, and it just looks fantastic. Let's get it started up. This is Gareth's pride and joy, this car. A long time dream, so feel duty bound to be reasonably careful with it. He says first gear is really just to set off because it's so short geared. It has, I think, some kind of South African axle, so we don't even know exactly what the final drive is on it. But Second thing that hits you as soon as you get rolling is that gearbox. Wow, it's just incredible. It's so short in terms of travel, so mechanical and precise in feel that you'd almost think it had a short shifter or something like that, but in fact it's going straight into the gearbox. That's why it feels so good. And you have that wonderful, simple, black, round topper with, you know, the gears on it in white, round gear knob. It's just fantastic. You don't need any more than that. It's a 5-speed box, which was pretty good for the time. Obviously nowadays hopelessly outclassed. And a quick word about the little yellow man that you see in the corner there. He's called Patrick, and Gareth, his other half, Rosie, she put him in the car and she said make sure Jack leaves him in there. So there he is, and he even got a little mention. For an Italian car of this era, the driving position is kind of what you'd expect, maybe a little bit better. Legs scrunched up, pedals offset, wheels slightly offset to the left, pedals slightly offset to the right, but for all of that, it's not uncomfortable. The wheel is a really good reach and it feels quite commanding. You're sitting upright, so you know, exactly like a rally car would be. Now Gareth has set this one up really to be something that he likes the look of, and it sounds good. He's not going for out and out performance with it, but we're just going to take it through the gears now. Just have a listen to the way that fabulous twin cam sounds. These engines, obviously I have a link with my Italian background, so these cars mean even more to me perhaps than they would to some, but let's go. Sounds lovely, and these engines were so advanced for the time, these twin cams. They're just wonderful things. Now this is a work in progress, so he's still working on the handling, all the other bits, but he wanted it to be a usable car. So unlike the normal 131 ABARTHs or the Stratos even, which don't have any sound deadening, he has reintroduced that in here. Now he mentioned to me that on the limit handling is still something that he's looking at. My initial comments are that it's got very positive turning, feels really nice. And then after that, I'm not sure, the steering just lightens up a little bit more than I'd like, but I'm sure it's something he can sort out with geometry. But all the same, it's a lot of fun, even as it is now. You do find, again, that final drive gets in the way, that I think 70 is at about 4,000 RPM, so it's not going to be a car for long distances, but it's so much about the look and about bringing you, taking you back in time. It's surprising just how supple it is. Gareth was telling me that on our really badly pockmarked roads, he thinks it feels horrible, but to me, he's done a good job building it up. It feels pretty tight, as tight as a 131 can feel. And the suspension is surprisingly supple. It's great over the sort of smaller frequency bumps. Steering is super direct. I mean, the fact that this doesn't have the independent rear suspension setup won't really affect it on the road. It was only on the rally stages that it was something that was almost essential. A solid rear axle like this, properly tied down with the system that Fiat used on tarmac, is actually probably as good as it would have been with independent rear suspension. So to try and make you understand how I'm feeling right now, on this little road, sort of going down with a little steering wheel, that big bonnet hump there, I'm just going to show you a clip of some 131s in action. On these little roads, it's just wonderful to try and take yourself back to those days when they were winning rallies like that. I know Gareth was working on the jetting of the engine, and it seems at the moment set up more towards low-end torque, which would make it better to drive on the road, I suppose. It doesn't quite sort of tear through the upper ranges as I've had with some other twin cams. Let's just take it through the gears one more time. So much character, this thing. To be honest, the handling I don't think is that far off. It's fairly neutral. I think it just needs a little bit more front end bite towards the end of the corner for it to be completely sussed, but he's got it going quite well. I'm not sure what suspension he's using on it. It's going over this road really quite well. The little steering wheel makes it feel wonderfully direct, and of course, like all 131s, there's wonderful amount of feedback coming through to you. Now, I've already told you how much I love these seats, but the rest of the interior is pretty nice as well. It's really light and airy in here. You have amazing visibility, and the dash, although simple, very easy to read the various bits. The heating controls are simple, just little black levers there, nothing fancy, but you know that it's a car, in this spec anyway, it's a car with a purpose. In the normal car, that purpose was just to ferry families around at a good price, whilst having a fun car to drive. And with these, you know, it was to win races. Let's talk about prices. What would you have to do to get yourself one of these? Well, if you want a real stradale, then I'm afraid you're going to have to stump up about £200,000. There's one for sale in Portugal at the moment. I think it's on at €225,000. So that is an awful lot of money. But if you have to go original, then that's what you'd have to do. However, I think if I was in that position of wanting one of these, I would do what Gareth did and either build myself or buy myself a replica or a tribute like this car. I think, you know, it didn't cost him too much to build, but then again, he did all the work himself, including the paint, which he does for a living. You'd have to find yourself a decent base car, but if you find yourself one which is already done, they seem to go around the £25,000 to £30,000 mark, which I think for something that's so striking and so evocative is really a little bit of a bargain. There's some other options as well. There were other sports models, and there was a Volumetricos, which is basically a car with a compressor, with a supercharger. There's a couple of those on sale right now, but the thing is, they're based on the Series 3 cars, which are nowhere near as good looking as these. They don't have the blistered arches. I think it's still a cool thing. I'd love to drive one, but in terms of aesthetic appeal at least, I think that I would prefer something more along these lines. The compressor cars do have 140 horsepower, and I've basically driven that engine in a Lancia, in the Beta Coupe. And I thought that it works pretty well with the supercharger, so don't dismiss them entirely. Now, if you enjoyed this, do check out my video on the 124 ABARTH, a very unlikely rally car. Interesting story, that. Thank you so much to Gareth for bringing this down today. Thanks to all of you for watching, and it's just been awesome to finally get into one of these. Thank you, and see you for the next video.